Someone turns the sun on every morning, someone lights, someone makes the earth spin, and someone makes it rain. Someone out there knows everything. Hey, Inspired Tribe. Welcome. How's it going? Welcome to the Inspired Livestream right here on the Inspired channel. I'm Jean Nolan. This is my wonderful wife, Kristin Nolan, the wise voice behind the camera. And we are healthy. We're wealthy, we're whole, and we're free. That's the mantra of the Inspired Livestream. For those who are joining us new and haven't been with us, for such a long time, you might not know the history of this. But the mantra of the live streams began about 18 months ago. And at that time, there was a big, how shall we say, it was confusion, there was fear, there was panic in a lot of people. And we just wanted a mantra to affirm before every live stream. We're healthy, wealthy, whole, and free. And it just became the mantra of the live stream. And we love it, and we're living it. So just repeat it with us every time we come on. It is Tuesday, August 31st, 2021, W-O-N, which means it's the last day of August, the last day of the 8th month of the year. It's just flown by. And there's so much that's happening, within the Inspired Tribe, so many beautiful things. People are moving, people are changing locations, all this is happening within these days. We know people began completely new lives over this year. And whichever part, we were able to play in this, we're thankful for it. And so some very beautiful new stories are beginning in the Inspired Tribe. And if this is your first time here, welcome. If you are a veteran in the tribe, welcome. We're excited that you're here. Let me welcome you all. Before we talk about today's topic, which is GOAT, really. Marina is here. Welcome. Purple Soul, Shay J, Wendy Straw. Hey, Emma, how's it going? Philip, welcome. Please wake up. Carol is here. Christine is here. Elaine, Marina said, Frank is here. Steve, welcome. Pauka Pauliukas from London, Vivian, Samantha, Sunshine Education, welcome, Mojo. It's great that you're all here, and thank you for jumping on. Today, I want to talk about something I don't really talk about a lot. It's and the reason why I don't talk about a lot about it is because so many people are talking about it. So many people are putting their sense into this. And it's something that walks with me every day, but it's usually a very intimate conversation that I have on my own or with my wife, but not outside of it. But it just felt like a good day to talk about the greatest of all time. And that, of course, is not a human being. The greatest of all time is the great creator, the one that created everything. And the reason why I wanted to talk about the creator today and dedicate this time and my time and do this in the co-creation with you guys is because my own experience, and I want to talk more about my experience than try to make universal statements, how I experienced the creator and how my journey went and why this was so important in my life and why things changed so much for me. And that's, I think, the only valid thing I can say about that. Now, I grew up in a country and in a, in Central Europe where God is a Catholic man with a white beard and a judging God, a God that you need to fear, and a God that has where a certain church, the Catholic Church for the most part, had a monopoly on the interpretation of God's word and God's will and God's everything. But nonetheless, my connection, my interest in the creator began very, very, very early on. And I didn't grow up in a religious or spiritual household. So that was not part of the conversation at all. And if it was part of the conversation, it wasn't very positive. And I don't mean that in a critical way towards my parents. I think it was just, just a sign of their upbringing in a socialist system, which didn't really include God or the Creator, a supreme being, if you will. And so in my story, it was just something that came from within always. And of course, like a lot of us during my teenage years, this quest or this conversation, this connection was very much on the back burner. It isn't that it wasn't there. It isn't that it didn't happen at times, but it was just something that wasn't at the forefront or even important to me. And I maybe later understood better why, but in my teenage years, I went through all of the phases from there is no God to, well, if there is a God, then how can he let all of that happen? Those questions that a lot of us have. But later on, I realized that I was looking for all these answers outside of me of who the Creator is and what the Creator is. And I was looking into books, and I was looking into other people's opinions. And not that there isn't some beauty in that and that there isn't some validity in that, but I did not truly understand the Creator until I felt the Creator within me. And that's not the creative part, if you will, my creative part. It's truly the God presence within me that has no personal identity as me. That doesn't mean that I, as this human shell, am that. It means there's a greater part within me. And this happened through experiences that are almost beyond description. And it happened when I was connected to words and maybe stories of others that came from a very pure point of view. And all of what we're doing today, all of this inspired work that we do is really driven, and not driven, but inspired by the wish to convey this connection. Not mine, not how I view this, but the connection per se. And I began to realize in my own journey that I couldn't find God. I couldn't find the Creator hidden in between the words of other people. I couldn't find the Creator. For me, it wasn't really possible to find the Creator in a church. It wasn't possible to find the Creator in some sort of temple. It isn't that I didn't have spiritual experience in such places. It just isn't that I couldn't feel the purity or the pure connection there as much. And it was really when I opened myself up to the conversation with the Creator, not according to my expectations and how I needed it to be, but according to how it was intended to be. And that began to change everything. Because in the earlier stages of my discovery or beginning of this relationship, true relationship with the Creator, I, as so many other people, I would send out requests. I would ask for certain things in my life. I would ask for certain things to happen. I would ask for material things. I would just ask for things. And I would just say, well, if you truly exist, then you will give me this, or if you truly exist, then you will make this happen for me, kind of those things. And it was a very narrow lens through which I perceived the Creator. And first and foremost, it was for my own personal benefit, for my own material benefit, right? It was for, okay, if I can get this out of this guy, then, then it's a cool God, If not, then probably he doesn't exist. Kind of that, a very limited point of view. And it wasn't until I began to accept that if there was a supreme being, a creator being, a consciousness that understands all the things that I, in my limited mind, cannot understand, then it must have a language and a way of communicating of its own that I need to surrender to rather than control the conversation. And when I began to surrender to that, and surrender simply means to give up, you can almost say, if you look at it from a religious or Christian standpoint, it's almost like repent. I repented. accept that I need to lose my idea and begin to understand or understand the creator's idea, which is a completely different way of looking at things. And for that to happen, I also needed to allow myself to shed all the dogmas and beliefs that I was inserted with, that well-meaning and not so well-meaning people pushed on me in many ways. And that took a while, because there were times in my life when the word God itself was a trigger for all the things that are associated, some horrible things that in the human realm are associated with that word, or in the name of God, that have happened. So all of that needed to fall away. As a matter of fact, I really truly needed to repent or surrender, and surrender into this conversation. And that also meant a new way of trusting that I had never before allowed myself to do. Because that truly means that if you go into this conversation, if you allow yourself to be led that way, then it leads you out of everything that is false and into everything that is true. And that is not always a pleasant journey. Because when you begin to feel the truths, then some of it is so amazingly expansive, and it truly changes your life in so many positive ways. But some of the things are very disturbing for us, for our human minds and hearts, are very painful. But to the creator, truth is truth, right? To the creator, it's what it is. It is beyond our human interpretation of things. And so one of the things I began to understand is that God's language is not in the words that we use. For the simple reason that our words are very limited. Our language is very limited. It doesn't give us so many nuances of images and feelings. And so I began to wonder, what is perfect? What could resemble the creator in our experience? And I looked around me, and in the beginning of that, I thought, well, God must really inspire science and technology and medicine. That was very early on. I believed, what they come up with must be God inspired, must be a supreme being that inspires that. But the further I looked, the more I realized that technology, that science, that medicine, modern medicine, was really flawed, was really incomplete, was really very, very primitive compared to the perfection I found when I truly looked into nature. And nature is nature is something that we still cannot come close to replicate. I mean, just because we can grow a plant in a pot doesn't mean that we can replicate nature, that we can actually recreate dirt, that we can actually recreate a plant without taking things from nature, without actually taking some ingredients and putting them together in a certain way. So I looked at that, and I began looking at that closer. And I was wondering, if God had a language, wouldn't it be a living language? Wouldn't it be something I could actually see and feel and hear, but not through words? I remember a very beautiful spiritual experience I had. Must have been about 18 or 19 years old. It was probably my graduation class in high school. We took a trip to England, and I remember my best friend at the time. He's transitioned since. Dominic, my best friend, he had this beautiful CD that one song on there was the Bombay theme from the movie, from A.H. Rahman, and that piece of music, I remember listening to it with my headphones in. It was a Discman, it was a CD player, very big and heavy at that time. But I remember laying under a tree, and there was a soft breeze, and the light was shining through the leaves, the sunlight, and the leaves were gently moving in the breeze. And even though I was disconnected with my ears, but this piece of music, and the visuals and the wind that I heard coming through was one of the deepest, most beautiful experience I ever had. I was laying underneath that tree, and for those 3 minutes or how long that took, I felt completely one with the Creator. I was taken out of all context of my surroundings. I lost track of time. I lost track of what happened before and what was supposed to happen afterwards. I was just one with this all-encompassing feeling, with this grandness that cannot be described, that is so beautiful and so deep and so light at the same time. It's a absolutely unbelievable feeling when coming from a conscious state of mind that we have. And many, many times I had experiences in nature, deep in the woods, where I would be further removed from the sounds of the world, where I would hear less of the roads and less of the traffic and less of the chatter of the people, where this wordless voice would come back and give me images and give me understandings, where for a glimpse it would appear as if everything made complete sense. The whole universe made complete sense in one moment. And I can only ever remember the feeling of that moment. I can never really remember the exact sense that I felt in that moment. But in that moment, it feels like if you'd ask me any question in that moment, I can answer it. Not because I'm so smart, not because I have learned all of these things, but because for that moment, I had tapped into the all that is consciousness. And the more I've experienced this conversation with the Creator, the more I desire to harmonize myself so I could hear that voice ideally all the time, so I could feel that knowing ideally all the time. And that's been the greatest, most beautiful inspiration for me to purify myself, harmonize myself, better myself, so I could be in alignment with that power, with that all that is knowing. And never ever has this power, the Creator, asked me to worship Him. Never has the Creator said, fall down on your knees and bow before me so you will be worthy of my love. Never ever have I felt that need, or never ever has the Creator asked me to do that. Creator has led me many times to certain places to do things, to help people, to speak words in the most unusual of situations sometimes. And most of the time I followed through and just done what was lovingly asked of me, and it was effortless once I did it. But never was I asked to sacrifice, other than, and if you want to use the word sacrifice in this, other than come to a realization which of my ways don't serve me and all that is, and which of my ways serve me and all that is. And that's a journey that everyone has to make, where we begin to realize what serves us and what serves the creation and what doesn't serve the creation. But to release that which doesn't serve the creation is not a sacrifice, it's a gift, it's a present. It's a true present when you can feel that which does not serve you and all that is anymore, and allow yourself to say goodbye to that and move into things and thoughts and deeds that actually do serve you and all that is. That's not a sacrifice. So when we look at, that was the conversation I've had with the Creator many times. We look at our habits, things that we do, things that we say, the language we use, the thoughts, the outburst of emotions towards others, the anger sometimes in worst cases, the hatred. If we look at all of that, we can answer this question ourselves. Which of these things serves us in all that is, and which of these things don't serve us in all that is? We can come to those conclusions even without the direct conversation. But with the conversation, there comes a power. Because this power, this love of the Creator is so unconditional. It gives you not just the knowing of what is right, it also gives you the courage to do that and to become that. And although a lot of the things I've come to realize would actually align with the purest teachings of some religions, I never felt the need to deeply associate myself with any religion. It just was never something that I was drawn to, although I have deep respect for many people that are religious. I have deep respect for many people that live in the pure teachings of their religions. Deep respect and friendships and beautiful connections, because I feel in their presence and in the togetherness, we vibrate at a very similar frequency, especially when fewer words are spoken and more being is taking place. And I can see that what their heart is saying, what my heart is saying, is very similar. And I would go as far in saying that probably if you would take some of the purest scholars of any religion, people that really live that pure belief, pure faith, and put them in a room together and just ask them to be quiet together, I believe there would be a beautiful release and synergy, release of energy and synergy. I believe we would see how much unites us rather than divides us. And since I've been walking with the Creator, that's what I call it, walking with the Creator, I've become much gentler. I was never a violent being. I never had that nature in me, but I was definitely wilder. I was definitely chasing the adrenaline kicks and jumping out of planes and skiing down a hill very fast and doing all things that were dangerous. And I didn't realize, it didn't occur to me until later, that kick that I wanted to feel, that adrenaline, that over the tops, crushing all limits adrenaline kick, was that split second connection with the Creator that I desired to feel. Because in that place, you're so out of control. You're so at the mercy of the moment that's taking place, that to me was the closest thing I could experience to being deep in connection with the Creator. I didn't call it that way, I didn't realize it. But later, when I was in deep meditation, when I was in deep prayer with the Creator, I felt that kind of intensity, but in a much, much wholesomer way, if you will. It was very, very different, but the intensity was similar. And so I've asked myself, why it is such a challenge for so many in this life experience to have a loving relationship with the Creator? Because I found this to be the true foundation for a life truly lived. And it isn't worship that I'm talking about. It isn't this servitude that I'm talking about. I've come to found that my Creator asks me to co-create with Him, asks me to live up to all of my talents and strengths, asks me to express myself in the natural ways I've been given, asks me to simply be who I was meant to be. And that shouldn't be that much of an ask, should it? And I've come to believe that we're being taught in the religious upbringings, in our traditions, to just ask the Creator. Whenever you have a problem, ask the Creator. Whenever you need something, pray hard, and He might show you mercy and give it to you. And what a roller coaster that ride is. And what a incomplete thought to me that is. And how could you build a relationship with anyone let alone the Supreme Being, if you can have no trust, if you can have no knowing, if you can have no understanding, if you are at the mercy of a seemingly chaotic being, because sometimes God provides and sometimes God doesn't. And I've come to understand that that's the incomplete picture that we have. The Creator has already provided everything. It's all here. Nothing, and think of it, nothing that we today use on this earth, whether that's good or bad, whether that's beneficial or detrimental to our experience, nothing comes from anywhere but that which was already created. That which we use, that which we eat, which clothes us, however much we modify and chemically alter it, it still comes from the earth, which was already given. Everything that we create, all the wealth, whether that's imaginary in a computer, or whether that's physical abundance, it all comes from something that has already been created. So I would say, and I don't use that word lightly, but if you want to use the word sin, I would use it as ignoring the fact that everything has already been given and constantly begging the Creator to give and give and give when the Creator has already given everything. And so that understanding, see, I'm used to the word understanding, but I like understanding much better. It's a beautiful word. That understanding, that realization made me want to complete myself as much as I could. Because isn't that part of that living of all that's already been given? To first and foremost realize who I really am, what my true nature and purpose is, and then live that purpose. That to me would mean that I'm living all that I have been given. And I am on this journey. I never expected to be complete. I never expected to be in perfection. But I'm always in striving. Always in the idea to better myself. And not just that. What about all the things around us that were given in harmony and perfection to us? We are so distracted by the worldly thoughts and worries, where we worry about things that we have created, problems that we have created in the first place. Because all that is needed ever has already been given in the beginning. What we need, not just to survive, but to thrive, has already been given. Clean water was given. An abundance of food that nourishes us was given. Clean air was given. Shelter was given. Companionship, love was given. Everything was given. We didn't need to invent any of that. We didn't need to work for any of that. It has been given. So in the world that we live in, we distract our thoughts constantly because we need to worry. We need to worry about our next paycheck. Sometimes we need to worry about how to put food on the table. We need to worry about how to survive among others that are maybe filled with hatred and greed. We need to worry about how to get around all these things, clothe ourselves, all these things that were not intended to be that way. That's over and over and over. What I'm hearing and feeling is that it's our sacred duty to realize that again. That we've simply steered away from that path and that we don't need to ask and beg. We don't need to plead. We don't need to negotiate with our Creator. It's already been given. And the path to living a harmonious life with our Creator would be a path to honor these creations. It would be a path to live in harmony with these creations and each other. And think about it in an exaggerated way. If all 8 billion people on the planet today would go to sleep for 8 hours at the same time, the majority of our problems for those 8 hours would cease to exist. Now, some are automated problems that keep going on even when we sleep, but the majority of our quarrels, of our wars, of our conflicts would cease to exist for 8 hours if we all went to sleep at the same time. Which leads me to believe that truly all of our worries and problems are a result of our steering away, not from a worship relationship with the Creator, but with a co-creationship with the Creator, with honoring, acknowledging, seeing, feeling that it's been given. And the further we steer away from that, the more we steer into the things that we've talked about over the last weeks and months, into a belief that we need to artificially improve ourselves, that we need to complete nature in ourselves in artificial ways because we are so incomplete. And I'll ask you, when you leave this live stream today, go and research any indigenous people that you might find on this planet that have shared some of their wisdom and knowledge, and find me a tribe, any tribe anywhere, that does not have some sort of relationship with a supreme being, with a Creator, that does not have an understanding that there is a symbiotic relationship that is taking place. Now, some are different, some are have already steered more away from that, some are in a greater clarity. But what I'm trying to say is, it is only a completely disconnected from nature society that begins to believe that such a being does not exist, and that we are a product of random biology, that we are a product of just a atmospherical, biological, chemical evolution. That is not just a cynical view of things. It is also so disconnected that no natural being that lives with and in nature could come to believe that. You have to be removed from the natural place, from the nature, and in an artificial structure and field long enough to come up with such thoughts that we are just random beings. And while I don't see a lot of value in preaching the Word of God, simply because I have no authority, I have no intention to interpret my conversation with the Creator for you, I'm just speaking from my experience. And some of the things, when you just hear them, make sense even if the Creator wasn't in the mix. Some of them only make sense when the Creator is in the mix. But in my life, in our life, since we have decided to make that unconditional love and relationship with the Creator a central part, everything has changed so much it cannot really be explained. But I go out and I remember I used to go out and I used to see a bug, or in the house I used to see a spider, I used to see a bug. I thought, that's a nuisance, shouldn't be here, and I killed it. Killed it, cleaned it up, went about my day, never thought about it. The more I connected with my Creator, and when I still did that, I walked away feeling a pain in my soul. I had just somehow strongly interfered with a greater structure, with a greater plan, for no particular reason. I didn't have to kill that bug. I didn't have to kill that spider. If I believe it's a nuisance in my house or it shouldn't be here, well, I've since found so many ways to help that spider back into nature, help that bug back into nature. It doesn't really require much to allow for a bee or a wasp or any other flying animal to leave your house again when it's trapped in there. You open the windows and you speak to the little insect and gently guide it out again. And I believe that's an act of co-creationship with the Creator. And so many belief systems that we have built that disallow this relationship. And that's part of our deep inspiration to help people transmute these belief systems. At the end of the day, it's never about a self-serving agenda. Because when you overcome more and more of these limiting belief systems, then for the most part, it's a natural, straight path to the Creator. And I believe, that's me personally, I believe it was always intended for us to co-create with the Creator. It was always intended for us to enjoy the creation, add to it with our minds, with our creative thought, with our deeds, live in harmony with it, in each other. And my belief now is that we can, even in this lifetime, experience some of that heaven on earth, some of that bliss. Because if I'm able to experience that bliss more and more and more often, when I go into meditation, when I go into nature, when I'm with my loved ones, when I'm speaking my truth, when I'm living my purpose, then I have to believe that it is possible for all of us, or most of us. And that's what inspires me, truly. So I can only ever encourage, and I don't, as I said, I don't speak about this a lot. I don't say this often because words don't do it justice. But I was inspired to do so today, just to inspire you to go beyond the books, beyond the prayers, go beyond the pre-scripted things, and go into a intimate conversation, and speak your heart to the Creator, and just allow. Because what the Creator will show you is not all the things that He's going to give to you. He's going to show you what you've already been given and have just closed your eyes to. And that's everything. It's everything. It's an eternal abundance of everything you might ever need and want. That's the greatest gift, to wake up to that. And then fear, it just walks away from you. When you walk with truth, fear has no room. Worry also begins to walk away from you. So does sickness. Sickness of the mind, sickness of the soul, and sickness of the body. And my best way to do that is to honor what I've been given. What I've been given, the talents, the strengths, the inspirations. It's the best way I know how to do that. Your way might be different. And this morning, the Creator sent me a thought. It's a beautiful thought that I want to close with today. If I can honor your purpose and you can honor mine, then we can walk together towards our common destiny. Inspired Tribe, thank you for joining me for a conversation today that I believe was divinely guided. And we will be back on Thursday for a Q Thursday, a Question Thursday, with your questions, our answers, to the best of our knowledge and ability. And we look forward to that at 2 p.m. Central, right here on the Inspired channel. And other than that, just have a blessed, divine, and beautiful, inspired rest of your day. We love you.